The full-time whistle has just blown in Cardiff at the Principality Stadium. These are my thoughts immediately following the match. And my goodness me, is there a lot to talk about. Good and bad. So strap in and get involved as well. Leave your comments down below. Give the video a thumbs up. Hit subscribe. If you don't want to know the result, if you haven't watched the game, then please go away and find that out and then come back, because I'm going to reveal it in a second. I would also say if you're Welsh and haven't watched the game, don't know the result, don't watch any more of this video. And also maybe I'd also probably recommend not actually watching the game either, because it's a new low for Wales. An 11th straight defeat, their worst run, and a new low for Warren Gatland's team, as Australia, conversely, are on the rise. 52 points to 20. It was an absolute beatdown. You have to go back over a year to Wales's last victory, which was against Georgia in the Rugby World Cup. On that occasion, Lewis Rees-Zammit scored a hat-trick. Suddenly, his move to the NFL looks like quite a shrewd one, doesn't it? Meanwhile, Australia in that same Rugby World Cup were an absolute mess. Yeah, I mean, in July, so much so, 2024 was shaping up not very well through the Six Nations for Wales, losing a load of great players, generational talent from their team from the Rugby World Cup. And Australia were an absolute mess, such that only a matter of like 5 months ago in July, whenever it was, when these two teams played each other in Australia in a series, I referred to it as the basket case bowl, which made sense then. It doesn't now when you look at this Australian team. And also when you look back at when these two teams played each other at the Rugby World Cup, it was a record ever defeat by Wales of Australia. So much has changed, because that we've just witnessed the biggest ever scoreline that the Wallabies have put on Wales in Cardiff in the history of the fixture. It's almost like it's like, what's that? Is it Newton's fourth law? For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. When Wales got that record victory in Lyon, well, this is the yin to the yang. Deary me. The Australian Grand Slam is still on as well. They've beaten England, they've beaten Wales, they take on Scotland next week, and then Ireland in Dublin to finish. Two big challenges ahead. I'm actually going to be at the game in Dublin in a fortnight's time. Really excited about that. So, yeah, another reason to make sure, if you haven't already, you hit subscribe on the channel. I just want to focus on Australia for a minute. My glass is typically half full when it comes to looking at rugby, and so I want to focus on the positives. Let me talk about Australia, because there were a lot of positives for them. Firstly, David Campese must feel a little bit stupid now at the old Joe Schmidt was a terrible appointment, he should go shtick that he gave really not so long ago. It's looking like a great appointment at this point, hasn't it? He's just breathed energy and life into the Wallabies. 8 tries scored in that game, 3 in the first half, 5 in the second, meaning they scored 5 tries. Oh no, they weren't down to 14 men for the whole second half. It was just 20 minutes. But they scored several of those tries with 14 men on the pitch. Masterclass in how to play a man down. They scored some tries from really good attack. They scored some tries that were defensive pressure that turned into tries from turnovers. And there were 3 tries from driving mauls, showing the Aussies have got real variety to their game. They've got threat, they've got deception. And very much as Joe Schmidt has done with Ireland, and he had an influence with New Zealand as well. There's kind of depth and layers to the Australian attack that's building. There's a bit of cohesion there. Joe Schmidt suddenly looks like an absolute masterful coach. And there's a lot of other international teams that might be going, oh, why did we let him go, or why didn't we pick him? I wonder if England are wondering what might have been. Yeah, he's having a great time of it. And I mean, just look at the man of the match today, Tom Wright. Eddie Jones used to leave him out of the team. Inexplicable. But there you go. But the Uru was great today. Lalisio's been really good in a problem position for Australia. The Maul's a real weapon. Physically, they just muscled up, and they've got a really good skill set that means they can just take advantage and shred you. Yes, Australia will have bigger challenges ahead, and they found going relatively tough in the Rugby Championship. So this result has to be put in context that this is, and I'll come to Wales shortly, this is about as bad a Wales team as probably most people have ever seen. So, and Wales have had some dark times before, and they'll have dark times again. There is a natural cycle to these things, but this looks pretty desperate for Wales at the minute. Another positive. I just want to highlight a positive on the refereeing front. It was James Dolman, Kiwi ref, looking after this one. And, you know, there's been a lot talked about with officials throughout this November. In fact, there's a lot talked about with officials all the time. And I contributed to some of it on some of the last videos that I did. But I just thought it was so refreshing that the referee, James Dolman, just kind of, he let rugby incidents be a thing. You know, there are times when, in fact, there's been times this weekend. Think about Friday night. I can't remember which yellow card it was. Was it Gomez Cadella? Was it one of the others? I can't remember which yellow card it was. When both the tackler and the player with the ball were bent at the hips. And there was head-to-head contact, and a yellow card was given as a result. Sometimes accidents happen. It's a game of rugby. And there's this just ridiculous hysteria around head contact, and I'm all for making it safer, and the game has never been safer. There's never been more awareness. There's never been more care of players. They've got these gum shields with the G-force measurements. They've got doctors that are on the spot and making independent calls. The players have never been better looked after. But the hysteria in the way that it's officiated has got to insane levels where you have outcomes that are given yellow cards, and I can imagine a coach on the Monday after a game going, "Oh, so coach, I got a yellow card. Got any advice for me how to avoid that again?" No, there's nothing that's going to happen again. Just forget about it, and that's not what you want. What I liked about James Dolman, there was a head-on-head collision. I forget the players involved. It was in the first half, and he just let it go, accepting accidents do happen. And for a lot of referees, that would have been an autopilot yellow. So I loved it. And actually, the way that came about, I was talking earlier about, in relation to the England-South Africa game, about how the TMO was just interjecting themselves into the game. This was the perfect example of how it should be done. The referee went, I think I might have seen something there. Oh, it was Gareth Thomas, wasn't it? And forget the Australian player involved. Anyway, and yeah, the referee went, I think I may have seen something then. TMO, can you just check that for me? Rather than the TMO like Ben Whitehouse in the England-South Africa game, I want to be part of this. I've got something for you to look at. I like it the other way around. So I like it the way he did. So well done, James Dolman, for that. And the same thing happened with Ellis Bevan and Nick White in the second half. And again, the referee just went, accidents happen. It's rugby. So I just want to applaud that. And maybe Joseph Akuso Suaili, maybe some of his rugby league tackling, maybe he got off with it a little bit, but very happy with the referee. Now let's talk Wales. And now we have to, I have to really try and find some positives, because there's not many. Because okay, here's a positive when you look at the result. And this isn't going to sound like a positive, so let me explain. My positive for Wales, the players are really bad. I know it doesn't sound like a positive. But what I mean by that is it's not like any other coach besides Warren Gatland could suddenly come in and turn these players into a team that's going to go and beat Australia, or definitely not beat South Africa next week. That's maybe the worst thing of all. You've had a new soul-crushing, confidence-reducing defeat at home to Australia, a record defeat at home in the history of the game, and now the official longest losing run in history. Okay, that's fine. Let's go back. Maybe we can be better next week. Who have we got? Oh, the back-to-back world champions. Right. Good luck. Look, and I say none of this with any pleasure, because it's really sad to see. When I was growing up as a kid, Wales, I don't know if it still is, but it always was one of only a couple of places on the entire planet where rugby is the #1 sport. I think football's probably ahead of it now, sad to say, but there was a time when New Zealand and Wales, rugby was the #1 sport. And it's sad to see that Wales are where they're at. What other positives can I take out of this? The way they came back after they were 19-0 down. The first half was a half of two halves. Australia, 3 tries, looked like they were cruising, and then Wales fight their way back. Bravely, Aaron Wainwright leading the charge, showed some heart, showed some bravery, got within 6 points and ended the half there. And that gave them a platform. You thought, right, they've got something, but then the capitulation came. They just could not live with it. It's sad to see that they were home against Australia in a November Test match and there were empty seats before the match started. That is, I'm sure there was quite a few people were thinking, I'm not going to watch all of this and I'm going to leave and make sure there's an empty seat at the full-time whistle. That opening 20 minutes, though, I couldn't believe the statistics. I haven't seen the stat for full-time, but Australia must have run for over 1,000 metres. Well over 1,000 metres, surely. Because, they must have done. Oh, my goodness. I'm scared. I'm actually scared to look at what the stat was for metres made by Australia in that game. Because after 20 minutes, bearing in mind that means there's probably only 12 minutes of ball in play time, and Australia probably only had the ball for 6 minutes of that, let's say, half of that, 6 minutes. In whatever time they had in the first 20 minutes, Australia managed to rack up 423 metres in attack. The naivety of Wales just trying to go coast to coast when they had the ball, it was hard to watch. The best thing about rugby is the different ways that you can win. You can go narrow and direct and physical and forceful. You can have speed on the outside. You can kick, you can run. You can overload on one side. And it's the threat of the different variety of things you can do that is why teams are effective, because you can show different pictures at different times. Wales didn't show different pictures. They showed one picture. We'll run that way, and then we'll go that way, and then we'll go that way. And as a result, Australia were just like, okay, fine, we'll shepherd you to that touchline. We'll shepherd you to that touchline. Never felt stressed in defence. Warren Gatland had a 1,000-yard stare on him. I don't know, what would you do? What players are there that are really, really badly underperforming? Or what players are there that should be in the team that aren't in the team that would make a massive difference? I mean, Nicky Smith starting would be a start. The scrum seemed to be all right when he came on. I would say you could be a little bit more pragmatic and go to your kicking game a bit more. But, I mean, look at Archie Griffin, tight head prop, first choice tight head prop for Wales. You had Thomas Francis, who was class. Now you've got Archie Griffin, who could be and maybe will be good in the future. But right now, he's behind Thomas du Toit at Bath and Will Stewart. South Africa's second choice and England's first choice tight head prop are both ahead of the pecking order from Wales' first choice tight head prop. And that probably speaks to where you are. Yeah, you've got South Africa there, you've got England there, and you've got Wales down here. I don't know what the solutions are. I looked at the team. The last time Wales won a game, in that team was Lewis Rees-Zammit, as I've already mentioned, Liam Williams, George North, Nick Tompkins, Talupe Faletau, Thomas Francis, Dan Biggar, just to name a few. And in that win against Australia, you could also chuck in Josh Adams, George North. Oh, I said George North, didn't I? Yeah. Mind you, the pack from the team that beat Australia in the Rugby World Cup, the pack's not that different. There's no Talupe Faletau and there is no Thomas Francis. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. Or at least all the players that were there are still around and available. So that, I don't know. I can't help but thinking, and it's hard not to make snap judgments, but the URC has been brilliant for South African teams, been brilliant for Irish, Scottish, maybe Italian teams to a lesser degree. But it's been great for those other countries. It's been horrible for Wales. The regional system is just not good. And I've been speaking about this for ages on the channel when things weren't nearly so bad for Wales. I don't know. I don't know what they do. I might go to 2 franchises, just a West and an East, down on the South. I know North Wales might be a bit annoyed about calling South West, South East, East and West, but I might go for that. Just have 2 teams, concentrate the talent, let some of your big players go off and play in other leagues so you can save the money on developing the young players. Don't get rid of all the cap rules. Just let players go and play anywhere that will actually pay them to conserve the money you've got and concentrate it on good quality coaching, on good young players which Wales will always produce because they've just got this rugby in there, got good rugby schools. Yeah, I don't know. I just look at, it's just got to be such a depressing time if you're a Wales player, because you're probably going, all right, international window, let's have a crack at South Africa, and then we can get ready for Champions and Challenge Cup and taking on French and South African teams and stuff like that. Which, well, anyway, I don't know. I don't know what the solutions are. I don't have those. I only have kind of commiserations for Welsh fans who are going through the ringer. But on the flip side again, and to emphasise the positive, Australia, how good to see them performing the way they are. How good to see Rob Valetini absolutely tearing it up. Angus Bell, a raging bull. Noel Alicio has really been good. Len Ikitau, class. The way he scored that try, just dancing around Cam Winnett, was lovely. Tom Wright, what a player. Got some absolute ballers, and World Rugby needed that. And I was wrong about Australia. I was saying that the Lions tour, we should, what's the point? Who's going to want to go and watch that? Game on. Game on. And here's to Australia getting even better. Just some thoughts following the game. I'll have a team of the weekend coming in the channel very soon. I'll have loads more videos besides that, obviously. And more reflection for the weekend that's gone and looking ahead to next weekend. Grand Slam for Australia is on. Off to Murrayfield next. That'll be a big one. Right, I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching. Leave your comment down below and hit subscribe.